Hey guys, welcome to my all-in Q&A. If you did not watch my last video, go watch that now so you understand the questions in this video. I have all your questions saved in a Google Docs, so I'm going to answer those one by one. And I broke them down into categories, so let's begin. What was your first day of recovery like? Did you wake up knowing that day was going to be the first day, or was it a spur of the moment decision? So I vaguely remember my decision to just go all in with recovery, but I do remember thinking about it for a long time. I knew I was increasing my food already at that point, so that was not a problem for me. It was more of letting go of the exercise, and that's when I truly was like, hey, maybe I need to do this. And I called my mom right away and was like, hey, I'm gonna do it. Like, I'm gonna go all in, and I'm not gonna go to the gym for a while. And I had that accountability from her. So it was a really scary step for me, but I knew I had to do it. And so it really didn't hit me until about 3 weeks in that I was like, wow, I haven't been to the gym in 3 weeks. Because I was totally okay with taking rest days, but when it goes on for like 3 weeks, you're like, wow, like what is this? And that leads us to the next question of, what was the first week, especially day one, of the all-in journey like for you mentally? To be completely honest, it was not as scary as I thought. I already knew that the body that I had tried so hard to achieve was not healthy. I knew I needed to gain fat on my body because I was way too lean for my height and weight. So like I answered in the previous question, I had already gotten to a place where I had already increased my food quite a bit. It was just letting go of the exercise portion, which wasn't too bad. I just replaced the lifting and the intense workout that I was doing with walks around campus. So I really feel that college took a lot of the thoughts about exercise away because I was a super busy college student and I just filled in that gap with school. Did you continue tracking calories? How did you know when you were eating 2,500 calories minimum? I do have a history of tracking macros / calories. So in the beginning, I did track for a while. I'm not really sure how long I tracked. I do feel that tracking helped me see how much that looked like in a day. I don't think tracking calories is something that everyone's going to benefit from because it can become super obsessive, and it did take me a while to overcome that. I also should say that I stayed away from low-calorie foods and just bought higher-calorie versions of those foods. So instead of buying like slices of bread, I would buy bagels or higher-calorie slices of bread. I would opt for higher-calorie yogurts, and I would spoon like 3 to 4 tablespoons of peanut butter instead of just one. So filled in the gaps with the foods that I love. Did you have to cut out all the healthy foods, aka veggies, and eat mostly processed foods? I ate all foods. So fruits, vegetables, pizza, ice cream, peanut butter, you name it, I probably ate it in my all-in journey. My body craved a mix of everything, and I obviously still wanted to nourish my body with like vitamins and minerals, so I made it work. It did help to incorporate some processed foods into my diet. Did you maybe eat the same as you do now, only bigger portions? So I don't really know how much I'm eating right now. I don't count my calories at the moment, but I guess you could say so. I feel like now that I have true food freedom, I can eat what I want when I want. I did make sure that my portions were large. And now that my goal is not purely weight gain and getting my period back, I just practice flexibility in my diet. How quickly did you start to see some of your symptoms go away, like feeling cold, having energy, etc.? My digestion was probably one of the biggest signs that I had that I was not fueling my body properly. Digestion and hormones go hand in hand, so if you don't have your period, it's most likely going to affect your digestion. When I didn't have my period, my digestion was crap. It was horrible. I was constipated like almost every single day, and I'm telling you, hormones are amazing. When I got my period back and started to see consistent cycles, it helped so much with my IBS. I also started to sleep better. My hair stopped falling out as much. My skin wasn't as dry during the winters, and I don't even barely have to put lotion on anymore. I also experienced a lot of hot flashes and feeling super sweaty at night, which is normal because your metabolism is upregulating and your hormones are trying to balance themselves. So don't be surprised if your hormones are a little imbalanced when you are trying to get your period back. I definitely saw a huge difference in my gym performance when I got my period back. I now have so much energy at the gym, and you know, it obviously fluctuates when I'm in my luteal phase versus my follicular phase, but it's definitely better. How did you get out of the eating disorder way of thinking? This isn't something that happens overnight. It's definitely a long process of doing a lot of brain rewiring and challenging those disordered thoughts. I would highly recommend working with a dietitian and a therapist to help you if you are struggling with an eating disorder. Did you ever intermittent fast? I did try intermittent fasting like for one day. It wrecked me. At the beginning of the day, I was like, I'm not even hungry, so I'm just not gonna eat. Like, I'm just gonna not eat breakfast, like whatever, I'm not even hungry. And then when I finally did eat, I had the worst stomach pains. Like, my body was not ready for food. So definitely did not work for me, and I don't see the point because I love breakfast. And if you are trying to get your period back, definitely do not recommend skipping meals. Big no-no. I get full very fast and very often. How can I tackle this? Definitely got to decrease the volume of your food. So if you're filling up on a lot of high fiber veggies and low calorie foods, you're gonna likely feel even more full than you already are, because when you are recovering from HA, you have to eat a lot of food in general. It's gonna help so much if you get used to drinking some of your calories, buying the denser, higher calorie foods that are probably your fear foods, and honestly just accepting that you are gonna be bloated and full during this process. But it does get better the longer that you do it and the longer that you stay committed to recovery. How much weight did you have to gain? How did you deal with this and eating more calories? From the start of my eating disorder recovery, I am up probably 50 pounds, but from my all-in journey, I'm probably up 30 pounds. So it's definitely not easy gaining that much weight in a short time span. I definitely did have my bad body image days. I really just chose to wear clothes that did not make me uncomfortable. Like, I would wear baggy sweatshirts, I would wear high-rise leggings. I did things to support my digestion along the way, like I would drink a lot of water and ginger tea, and making sure that I took deep breaths before my meals so I would get my body ready to digest that food. As far as seeing changes in my body, I knew that I needed to gain weight and I needed to gain some body fat. So I really practice self-care during this time and self-compassion. I think it's because I was not focusing on body checking every single day and comparing myself to old pictures that I didn't feel like I was gaining weight when I was gaining weight. I think when we think about weight gain, that we think that we're gonna feel it and we think that people are gonna notice, but honestly, I just focus on the positives of recovery and everything else that I was getting besides weight. I definitely did have my bad days where I would try on something and it no longer fit me, or it fit in a totally different way. So I did cry a lot. Can't say that my recovery was perfect either, but I stayed the course because I knew that the body that I was living in for so long was not my healthy body. The body that I used to have was definitely a lot leaner, but it was not the body that was going to support having a child someday. It was not the body that was going to make me feel my best. To be completely honest, I did not feel my best when I was super skinny. Not gonna lie, I kind of liked the curves. Regarding your weight settling out, did you find yourself eating less at that point, or were you purposely scaling back on desserts and snacks? I wouldn't even call it like eating less. I just became even more and more intuitive to what I was eating. I do still make sure that I eat every 3 to 4 hours to support my hormones. I make sure that I'm eating enough to fuel my performance in the gym because I am working out again, and I know that I can't just go back to what I was eating before, when I lost my period, because that wasn't enough for my performance. I got my metabolism to a really good place where I can eat like an all-in amount some days because I just listen to my body. And just because I don't post desserts every day on my Instagram, I definitely do like to have something sweet every single day. It may not be for everybody, but it satisfies my sweet tooth, and I'm totally okay with that. When did you know you were at your set point weight? Did you overshoot your set point weight? I did sort of overshoot my set point weight. I was about 5 pounds higher than I am now. I like to think about set point weight as more of a range than an actual number. So I definitely notice that my weight fluctuates throughout my cycle, and I don't stress about it because I know it's like in my body's set point range. To answer the first question, I knew I got to my set point weight when I got my period back, because that told me that my body is healthy. If you're not getting your period, you're not at your set point weight. How did you deal with comments from others, or lack of comments because you were no longer shredded? Truthfully, it doesn't bother me when somebody comments on my body. I just take it and it can go out the other ear, because it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what people think of you. What matters most is how you think of yourself, and being able to be so confident that those comments don't mean shit to you. I really just learned to like brush off the comments and like even change the topic if it starts to get uncomfortable for me, but I can say that I don't really care. Think about it this way. If somebody's commenting on your body and doesn't like you because you've gained weight, that's a them problem, not a you problem. Can you eat a lot and not gain weight? Definitely. Once you do find a safe set point weight for your body, you can smash some food. I can eat more than my 31-year-old brother. Do you think we can do all in by increasing food first and then easing into the no exercise? I mean, I did, but it also took me about 7 years to get my period back. So do you have 7 years to spare without your period? I would definitely not recommend it. If you do struggle with letting go of the exercise, eating more food, and getting your period back, you can apply to work with me. There's a link down below that you can book a free 15-minute phone call with me to see if my food freedom coaching would be a good fit for you. Because I know all in is super scary, but it's possible. You just have to be willing to trust the process, and if you need to, put a trust into a coach. Why is intense exercise not recommended? There are a couple reasons for this. One, exercise is very energy demanding. If it already takes 2,500 to 3,000 calories to heal your body and restore your period, it's going to take even more calories to replace the calories that you burned exercising. Reason number two, hypothalamic amenorrhea is a condition of the hypothalamus in your brain. So your hypothalamus can actually sense stress. Exercise, while it is a positive stress, is still a stressor. And especially if you're doing chronic cardio or lifting heavy ass weights, it's way too much for your body to handle at this moment. It's not to say that you have to cut intense exercise out for the rest of your life, but taking a short break to get your period back is totally worth it. If you're constantly trying to burn calories and deprive your body of the calories that it needs to get its period back, you're more than likely not going to get your period back. How long did you wait to start exercising again after you got your period back? I would recommend waiting 3 consecutive cycles before you start exercising again. Did you lose all progress at the gym? Surprisingly, no. I found that it was harder for me to ease into my more intense lifts, but muscle memory is a thing, guys. So if you lift weights or if you do endurance training, you can gain all that back. Since my body was at a higher, healthier weight, I was able to lift more, even more than I was when I didn't have my period and was at a lower weight. So I wouldn't really say I lost all progress. In fact, I feel like it helped with my progress. All right, we have a couple more questions, so hang tight. How do you know if you're improving if you're on birth control? My doctor ordered it because I lost my period. Alrighty friends, so if you are on birth control because you have hypothalamic amenorrhea, you are not getting your period. I can do a more lengthy video on this, but if you are taking synthetic hormones, they are not real hormones. This is not to say that you shouldn't be on birth control if you are sexually active. This is saying that you cannot use the pill as a band-aid for getting your period. The pill bleed is not a real bleed. It's a withdrawal bleed from the synthetic hormones that you're taking. And think about it this way, there's a reason you're not able to get pregnant while you're on the pill. Just keep that in mind if you ever do want to have kids, that if you go off the pill in order to get pregnant, you might not be able to get your period back. I would recommend getting off the pill, seeing if your period does come back, and if it does come back, then you probably have nothing to worry about. But if it doesn't, there's some internal work that needs to be done. Do you struggle with painful periods now? I actually have the best periods. This has a lot to do with balancing your hormones, and I'm not talking about seed cycling or taking maca powder. I'm talking about actually balancing your hormones through proper diet protocols, making sure that your stress levels are in check, making sure that your lifestyle supports healthy hormones. There's so much that goes into balancing hormones than these fake ass supplements that people just try to sell you. If you do struggle with painful periods, some quick tips are drinking ginger tea or dandelion root tea. Raspberry tea is also a good one. You can get a heating pad and put it on your stomach. Taking Epsom salt baths. Making sure that you prioritize magnesium when you are on your period. There's so much more I could talk about for making sure that your periods are not painful. But again, if this is something that you're struggling with, you can apply to work with me, and I'd love to help you out with that. The last question. Do you recommend all in if I'm young? Hands down. So if you have never gotten your period and you think that you have HA, or if you have gotten your period and you developed HA at a young age, that is the prime time to get your period back, because your body's growing, and not getting your period makes your body think that it's in menopause, which you should not be in if you're 15 to 16 years old. Even if you aren't thinking about having a child anytime soon, you do need your period. Also, just want to mention, you can go all in and you can get your period back at any age. So just because you're 30 years old and you've gone so many years without having a period does not mean that you should continue on with that lifestyle. I can go on and on about the benefits of getting your period back and going through this process, but that could take a whole other video. So again, if you do have any questions, you can email me or visit my website to check out more. Thank you guys so much for watching this video, and I will see you guys in another video soon.